Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. I'm trying to cover up a little bit of stuff. um, Today, I'm going to go over the perceptions of a stay at home parent based on things like what you might see in the movies or in media. I did fix the lighting issue a little bit, so now you can see me. Um, but what you might see in the movies, um, or on television or on social media about stay at home parenting is somewhat based on a stereotype. Um, yes, we stay at home, and that's about where the comparison stops. Um, Now, I don't want to disparage those parents that work and do the same jobs as a parent, the laundry, the cleaning. This is not that. Um, this is more along the lines of this is what a career is as well. Just because it's not in a cubicle, just because it's not at a work site, a job site, doesn't make it any less of work. Um, because once anyone becomes a parent, even if it's a fur baby parent, it's still a parent, right? You're raising an animal, you're raising a child. Yeah, the jobs are a little bit different, but you still have that level of responsibility. Um, you you are responsible as a stay-at-home parent for everything. Um, just some people would go out. Okay, sorry. Some people would go out and hire, say, an accountant to keep their monthly budget balanced, right? Well, as a stay-at-home parent, that's your job. Yes, everybody else does it as well because not everybody can afford an accountant, but you know, as a stay-at-home parent, it's a little bit more because you don't get paid. You don't get acknowledged. You just say, well, and everybody says, well, but you're already at home. And other people that work, they do those things too. Yeah, they do. But they get paid for the job that they do. They get recognition and vacation days. They earn time off, and stay-at-home parents, based on media and movies and things like that, they, you know, the spouse that works comes home and they expect dinner on the table, and the kids are clean, and yes, that's a lot of it from the 50s because that's kind of when it started, because years ago, as I mentioned before, you know there was a stay-at-home mom. Stay-at-home dads were there, but they were less common. And you know that just kind of snowballed into what we have today of, you know you're a stay-at-home parent, this is all you do. And because it's not considered work, or you don't pay taxes on an income, you don't do these things that society says is acceptable, you don't count. But that's not true, because stay-at-home parents, we raise the next generation. And granted, it all depends upon how the parent was parented. It all depends on how, their younger life went, their childhood, their young adult years. It all depends on that. So we do contribute to society, just not in a financial means that's socially accepted. And I'm not sitting here saying that every parent is perfect because we're still human. We still make mistakes. We still get frustrated. We still get tired. But they don't show you that on social media or television. They always paint the cheery, happy, here's a plate of cookies. No, most of us don't even, unless we make time and put it in our schedule, we don't have time to bake cookies. We work, we get up before everybody else and we work until after everybody else is in bed. There's no, unless you plan for it, there's no real sitting down to a meal. We eat on the go because a lot of parents have kids in sports. They have kids in orchestra. They have kids that are doing extracurricular activities, even in the summer, and sometimes in the summer, they're catching up on things that they couldn't do throughout the school year because a lot of that stuff stopped. So it's a constant movement and no one really goes over that. I mean, I could give you an example of a day in my life over the years. I'm up before everybody else. I get stuff together for the day. I get my paperwork together. I get my list of who I need to call, what I need to do, and then I always try to add something of teaching a skill, right? Finances, whatever. And the reason I do that, and this is unique to me, is, like I've mentioned several times, my family has extraordinary needs. So not only do I have to, I'm sorry, I keep playing here. Not only do I have to do everything else that needs to be done that day or the couple of days, I have to make sure that my kids are able to take care of themselves to a certain degree once I'm not here. So I have to plan for that. And one of the things that you very rarely see, and I know that there's certain shows that are starting to show up on streaming devices and apps and things like that. And they have, extraordinary needs, families and things, but they're still kind of glossing over the stuff in between the takes, they're, oh, well, this person has autism or whatever. And but they don't show you what is in between. They don't show you that it might take them 3 hours to get them to put a pair of shoes on because of a sensory issue. They don't show that because people don't seem to be interested. They want the excitement. They want the drama. They want, all this other stuff. And most of that stuff is scripted. It's not even real. So, and that's where the stereotype keeps kind of going is, oh, well, if your son, daughter, or child has autism, literally they put their shoes on, they're ready to go. No, you've got to, okay, we're getting ready to go in an hour. Find your shoes, put your shoes on. Oh, okay, this is wrong. Well, let's fix it. And by the time you get to that and get out the door or get ready for that next activity, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours. Some days you don't even make it to the next activity because it just they just can't handle certain things that day. They don't show you that. And it's not always extraordinary kids. It's other kids too. Sometimes kids just want to be kids and they don't want to be, here and there and everywhere else. They just kind of want to chill for a little bit. They want to maybe stay home and play with a toy or play with something. They don't want that hustle and bustle. They want to just be kids. And they never show you that. They never show that side of parenting. And I know that parents that work, they have babysitters, they have family members, that help take care of the child. And that is absolutely amazing. That is great because that allows the parent to go and do what they need to do to provide financially for the child. But what they don't show is how certain families don't have that, and that's where stereotype of parenting in general comes in, because everybody says, oh, these kids are horrible, they're doing that. Well, maybe it's because they don't have extended family, but they still have to provide financially. there's a lot of stereotypes around parenting in general, but stay-at-home parenting seems to be the one that sticks the most out. It's not portrayed maybe often because traditional family, traditional roles, and then there's all the other types of families that are just the same way. 2 moms, 2 dads, 1 mom, 1 dad, grandparents. There's so many different family combinations, but people insist on it being in their comfort zone, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. And that's not right. It's not right to take somebody as a parent, no matter what gender they are or how the family is set up, and say, you have to meet these social expectations because I saw it on a TV show. Okay, well then you write the script and I'll follow it, because you can't write a script for life. And judging somebody based on a television character or a movie character because that character resonated with you and stuck with you, and you're like, oh, I like this kind, I like this, so I'm going to look at this stay-at-home parent and say, why aren't you, in my head, maybe not out loud with words, but say, oh, I like this parent. All stay-at-home parents are like this. They should meet the criteria of this character. And you can't. I mean, you can't even meet it if I've never seen the show. And the actions, not necessarily the words, but the actions of just, well, you need to meet this criteria. You need to be like this parent. And as you can see from me, I am nothing like anything you would see on TV. I mean, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And yet I'm still expected to plate of cookies and a happy little, wee. No. I mean, that's not how it works in the real world. And to stereotype stay-at-home parents in that category is a great disservice to society. Huge disservice. Because there are many ways to contribute to society, but over the years, society has put all that onto you. If you don't contribute financially to the tax coffers, if you don't contribute financially to small businesses, you're useless. You're absolutely useless. And then discount everything else that a stay-at-home parent does because they don't see that as important. But yet they complain about it. A horrible kid because the parents weren't a stay-at-home parent. Well, the parents had to provide financially, but you don't see that after that. You just kind of stop looking because you're already mad. Well, okay, I stay at home, and over the years, I've contributed the best I could. I've done side hustles. I've made a little bit of money. I've supported small businesses. But in the end, my family had to come first. So if we had a bad day, I didn't get to do my side hustle. I didn't get to do this. I didn't get to do that. And, I had to, but that's wrong. Well, okay, but you want the 50s mindset of being a stay-at-home parent, which is family first. And you're mad at me for doing that because I didn't contribute that day to taxes. Oh, which is it? That's opposite. I can't do both given the circumstances. You can't, nobody can do both. If you have a sick kid, and you don't, and you're at work worrying about your kid, you're doing other things. And that day you have to leave early because your kid is sick. You have to go get him at school. You have to go get him at the sitters. You have to go get him wherever. Well, that half of the day you didn't contribute financially, but you're judging stay-at-home parents for that. It's that stereotype. And some days I wish that people would just take a step back and realize that how many different, and this is a really old trope, it's a really old thought, hats, and obviously I don't wear hats. How many different jobs per day or week or month or however you want to break it down that a stay-at-home parent does that most people don't even realize? They, Sorry, Ping is sitting in the hallway. He wants to observe Mom's stream today. You know, chauffeur, for example. Yeah, every parent chauffeurs their kid around to, like I said, sports, friends' houses, whatever it may be. But for the stay-at-home parent, for us to be a chauffeur, it's a chauffeur maybe all day long. We make a huge list to go grocery shopping. We get home and there's always one person that says, oh, you missed this. And then somebody else says you missed this and this and this and this and this. And in order for the family to function at a specific level, at a baseline, whatever it may be, you have to go back to Walmart. You have to go back to the store to get your groceries. You have to go back to get what you missed because that piece was very needed, and we have to make time for that. So if we had other things that we needed to do, that takes a back seat to what needs to be done in that moment. So, we chauffeur. We are drivers. We're just, back and forth. If it's that time of month, that time of week, balancing the budget, most people now, there's so many different payment methods now, and they utilize a lot of that to save time. And that's great. Hey, if it works for you, awesome. But sometimes that doesn't work for everybody. And you have to be able to sit down and turn doing the family budget into a teaching moment. And what may take somebody else 15 minutes could take other parents up to an hour because they want to teach their kids financial responsibility. And people with extraordinary needs, it could take longer than that because, you have to make sure that they understand the small steps to build that foundation to get up to the harder stuff for later in adulthood. So, but this is the kind of stuff that most people just dismiss. They're like, oh, no, that's not the way that works because I know for a fact that this works. And it's like, okay, but you're telling me that what works is what works for your family. Hey, that's great. But it doesn't apply to mine. It doesn't apply to all the other stay-at-home parents. And, I know that none of this really makes sense because everybody's thought about stay-at-home parents and parenting in general is set in stone. Most people, we're kind of, oh yeah, you're a stay-at-home parent. Oh, okay. They don't understand the finer points of it. They only understand what they see scripted on TV or in those little shorts. I don't know if anybody's seen this one, but it's a video that shows how much money a stay-at-home parent saves the family and a little bit in society in general over a course of, I don't know, a year, a month or something like that. I don't know. I watched it and I know that the person was trying to advocate for stay-at-home parenting, but to have everything reduced to a dollar amount yet again is a little bit disheartening because, we're humans too. And in this little short video, whatever it was, for example, tutoring, right? We help the kids with their homework. We homeschool or whatever, that saves X number of dollars a week. That translates into X number of dollars a month. Well, yeah, but why am I still reduced to a dollar amount? Simply because I chose to be a parent, not a stereotype. Why, where's the rest of what I contribute by tutoring or helping my child with their homework? Why is that just a dollar amount? Why can't somebody say, hey, she's actually teaching her child to be a productive, respectful member of society? There's the payoff, not how much money can I save. Because that's what corporations say. That's what a lot of people say. Well, you're a stay-at-home parent. You don't really need somebody to come in and help you or give you a day off. You chose this, you did this, you. Okay. Yeah, but that doesn't mean because what you see on TV, that doesn't mean I don't need a break. Because even on TV, the parents, you see the kids run through the kitchen and the parents are like, oh, kids. But then the kids disappear out of the rest of the scenes. And it's just focused on the parents. The parents go out to eat, they go to the movies, they do adult things without the children. And that's where it flip-flops. Because in reality, people say, well, you don't meet this character's expectations or you don't meet this character's stereotype of being a parent in this part. So you don't deserve the other part of being able to go get a cup of coffee. Even though in the TV show that I watch, the parents are always getting coffee. They're always going out to eat. And the kids are always taken care of, I assume, because they're not in the scene. No, because as a parent, to go get a cup of coffee, especially in my individual unique circumstance, I have to make sure that everybody is functioning, everybody has an even emotional state, that everybody knows what is expected of them, how to manage, clashing, how to manage being overwhelmed, how to manage episodes without me here for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And that can take up to an hour. So if I say Mama's going to go for a cup of coffee for herself, that's the steps I have to take. It's not the kids running through the kitchen. I go get in my, fancy SUV and drive to the coffee shop and then meet whoever and sit down and talk for an hour. No. But as a stay-at-home parent, I deserve that. I've earned it, But society says otherwise. Well, you're a stay-at-home parent. How can you afford coffee? How can you do this? How can you? Well, first of all, that's none of your business how I can afford it. And second, why can't I get a cup of coffee at a coffee shop? Why am I required, because my title is stay at home, why am I required to 24/7 stay at home? And then there's the other part of that where people complain, oh, well, my gosh, she's a parent. She went and got her nails done. Okay, she went and got her nails done. Does her kid have food, shelter, diapers, clothes? She got her nails done. Did the earth stop spinning? Well, but her kid should come first. Okay, yeah. But ask yourself this. Is it your business? No. Did her kid come first? Yes, no, maybe. So there's so many things judging, not just stay-at-home parents, but parents in general. And even if they work hard, and if parents work hard, it's yay. But it's yay they're contributing financially. It's not yay they're being a good parent. It's yay they're contributing financially and taking more financial burden off of me. Okay, but I'm taking the financial burden off of you as well by teaching my child safety, how to interact, so he's not incarcerated, good math skills, good social skills. Even though you can't see it in that moment, it's there. So how is my style of parenting, my job of stay-at-home parenting, different than any other parent? I just don't do it in a cubicle. I don't do it paycheck by paycheck. I do it all day long. Now, the other thing that really is a huge stereotype, and it puts a lot of pressure on parents with kids with adaptive needs. And yes, I'm using a variety of terms because certain terms do offend people. And if I do offend somebody, I'm sorry. Because anymore, everybody is so offended, and I don't know what terms to use to not offend each individual person. But, a lot of parents with kids with adaptive needs are expected to go out and get a 9-to-5 job working 40 plus hours a week, and then still take care of their children. I get that. They're still expected to do things, just like people expect me to do things. But no matter how many times this is explained, it doesn't sink in. When you have a job, any job, Doesn't matter. Retail all the way up through a corporate CEO type job. And there's something wrong with your child, from a stomach ache to a fever to vomiting at school to, in our case, hemophilia. Ping is a severe hemophiliac. Hemophilia A to be exact. And we've had some issues over the years, not as many as we could have. But over the years, it would have been impossible for me to go out and work in a regular job, simply for the fact that I would get a phone call every single day from his brick and mortar school. And some of them didn't have to do with the hemophilia. The others had to do with his autism or his ADHD. And every day, come get him. He did this, he did that, he did this, he did that. And I'm like, okay, well, are you working with him? Are you explaining things to him from a social standpoint? Because that's what was supposed. Nope, we're not doing any of that. That's your job. Okay, but right now, the social skills and things like that. Nope, we're not doing that. So I spent more time at Ping's brick and mortar than I did even doing my stay-at-home parenting jobs, such as cleaning, the budgeting, the, driving Papa Narwhal around and to his appointments and things like that, simply because they didn't want to deal with him. They didn't want to deal with all of that. They didn't even want to be responsible to teach him. They wanted me to teach him here at home so that he behaved at school. But that's really hard to do because his classmates were not here at the house. So how can I teach him socially based on their standards? So I had to go up there almost every day. And there was a lot of little other things, like it took him a while to be potty trained and it took him a while to grasp this concept. But, I went up there at one point and, this was before he was potty trained. And I walked in to the school nurse berating him in his face. And he was in kindergarten. And she said the statement, "I don't like little liars," to my kindergarten-aged Ping. And I said, "What is happening?" And she said, "Well, he blah, 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 blah." And I was like, okay, so he's in kindergarten. He's literally 5. He's struggling to be potty trained. And at that point, we didn't have the autism diagnosis or the ADHD diagnosis. And I said, "So you're berating my son because you believe he was a liar, and he doesn't even understand what a lie is, and he's barely verbal." "Yes." "Now, what are you going to do about it?" And I'm like, "Absolutely nothing but turn you in." She's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Absolutely nothing. Because this is something that you could have addressed as an adult in a respectful way, knowing that his issues have yet to be identified and knowing that he struggles with certain things. And yet here you are bullying him just as bad as the bullies in his class that aren't stopped. And you're going to ask me how I'm going to punish my son for you being a bully." And she said, she looked me right straight in the eye and she said, "But you're a stay-at-home parent. You need to teach him." And because I was in public, I paused and I took a long pause. And I said, "So you're telling me that you are completely not responsible for helping teach my son in a social setting simply because I am a stay-at-home parent?" And she goes, "Yeah. What do you do all day?" My job? "Well, you need to focus more on Ping than you do anything else." And I'm like, he gets skills training with me several hours a day. Social manners, just basic stuff. And she's like, "Well, it's not working." And she walked away. This is a school nurse. And that was kind of a turning point for me when I realized, this is bigger. This is a bigger issue than what it seems. Because now in today's society, it's not just the thought of, the personal thought of, oh, she's a stay-at-home parent, so, oh, she's a little Susie homemaker, coin a phrase there from the way back when. Okay. Now, I'm not saying I want other people to raise paying or the Midland or anything like that. I don't want that. That is my job. But when people don't recognize that, given the circumstances, the unique individual circumstances, that I am doing what I'm trying to do. I'm doing the best that I can, but sometimes there does need to be professional intervention. There does need to be supports for paying and me and Papa Narwhal and everything else. It's pretty much just, oh, well, you're a stay-at-home parent. You're not doing anything all day long. You should have this fixed, figured out, and cured. What, you think I sit around all day watching television, eating little chocolates out of the package, and I sit around and scroll on Facebook all day? Okay, I can only do so much. And when I take paying places or I take the Midland places and their social expectations, I try. But if my children aren't there to meet your social expectations, you do not need to bully them or blame or say, well, you're not doing your job. How do you know? You don't live at my house. And if you do dinners at 5, the rent is about $700 a month. So bring it. And then they get mad when I make that statement because they're like, oh, well, that's just okay. But it's a whole, back and forth tete-a-tete. But it still gets under my skin because it's like they see these parents on television or in social media that, well, my kid is perfect and I do this and I do that. Okay, but then they have those expectations heaped onto me. And given even the circumstances that they understand, that they know about, it's like, why can't you have your up here and not down here? Well, I have to parent down here because that's where they are. That's where their skill and their functioning and brain processing is at. So to get them up here, I have to do all that work in between. And you're expecting me to fit the stereotype of a show, fit the stereotype of social media, fit your stereotype of what a special needs parent should be, fit the stereotype of contributing to the financial coffers of the country, and all of this, plus get my kid up to this standard where you believe he should be, where he's actually down here and may never make your standard. Really? Really? Okay. Well, I'd like to know what script and what TV show you think that's going to be, because quite frankly, I've yet to see one. I mean, like I said, I see kids running through. They're scripted. They're actors. They're fake. What you see, the words you hear, the emotions that you see on the screen, it's all fake. But to hold a stay-at-home parent to those expectations and then putting those expectations on the child because they have a stay-at-home parent, and putting those expectations and stereotypes and all that negativity and saying, well, you don't contribute this, you don't do this, you're horrible, you don't know what I do. You don't know. And every time I try to share that in a respectful way, it's always, oh, okay. And it never breaks through that stereotype. It never breaks through that mindset of the 40s and 50s. And I know a lot of you may not know what I'm talking about, but a quick Google search will, explain more. But it's like almost society got upset because stay-at-home moms had to go to work. And instead of going to work, they should have stayed home. But then they're upset that they stayed home. It's just like those two stereotypes, those two thoughts, those two processes just bang heads. And they want us to stay at home but go to work. Go to work but not go to work, and stay at home but still contribute to the finance. What? Those actors you see that you hold, the expectations that you hold me to, they don't even pay like taxes on the show. Most of them don't even have a toilet in the bathroom. But yet, hello? So, next time you see a show, the next time you see somebody that says, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home parent, and they're happy and, things like that, stop for a minute and think. Maybe think about some of the word salad that I just said that I went really fast with talking with my hands, because if you watch my videos, you're just going to live with that because, well, happy. But stop and think for a minute. Ask yourself a few questions like, do I really know what goes on in that household? Are they a stay-at-home parent out of necessity or out of desire to be a good parent? Do they have a part-time job? Do they have a side hustle? Do they do certain things after, their day's work is done? And let me tell you, cleaning a house, maintaining a home, maintaining every single aspect of the family's life is a job. And while other people have, like I said, other people may have careers and jobs outside of the home, they still have to do all that stuff when they get home and on their days off. And kudos to you. I am so glad that you have found a method and a life that works for you, and I hope you get to keep it. And everything just is so peaceful. Everything is just awesome for you. And you amaze me. But to disparage stay-at-home parents simply because you see something on a TV show that, oh, I agree with that, so the next stay-at-home parent I see, I'm going to hold them to that expectation. Maybe that stay-at-home parent doesn't even watch TV because they've got so much going on. So they have no idea. And you coming at them and saying, well, why aren't you like this? Why would I be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, So next time, ask yourself some questions. Do I know what goes on when I'm not around? Do I know what goes on? Or am I meeting this person for the first time and I'm judging them based on something else that I've seen? Is that what you're doing? Because just because you're judging them and basing your beliefs off of a fictional character, it never, never, never applies to that stay-at-home parent's life. I can pretty much guarantee you. Now, I might be a little off because there may be some people, there's a new movement out about being a stay-at-home spouse and other things. And I'm not disparaging that. I'm not talking about that. That is a whole other area. I'm specifically talking about stay-at-home parents, where you see the parents at the end of the day and they're in the bed and the kids come pouncing into the room and jump into the bed with them. Last time my kids jumped in the bed when they were little, they were like, hey, Mom, guess what? Like, yeah, okay. But you don't see that on TV. You hear parents talk about it, whoever. Oh, yeah, the kids were just so excited about something. They jumped in bed with me and said, hey, Mom, and then threw up everywhere. And everybody laughs and said, parenting. Yeah, parenting. When was the last time you saw that on TV? But yet you're going to compare. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to cut this one a little bit short today. Like I said, we had a little technical difficulty. I need to get some ceiling repairs. So I said it, but I'm trying to hide it a little. As you can see, this is me. This is my office / craft area / side hustle area. Family hangout now. So yeah, just next time, ask yourself some questions when you hear somebody or of somebody that's a stay-at-home parent. Don't judge us just on our monetary worth. Really look at what we do. Try to think about that. Try to understand that, just because you see it on TV does not apply to everyone. And to hold us to that, to a television show standard where it's scripted, written by a bunch of strangers sitting in a room. Yeah, that's not a good look, and assuming that we don't deserve days off or we don't deserve to go to a coffee shop for 10 minutes and just sit and stare at the floor or sit and stare at a wall just to decompress. That's still not a good look. But to each their own, you know. I have been a stay-at-home parent for 25 plus years. 25. And I've seen it all. I've cleaned it all up, done it all. And I am, based on what statistics I see and the articles that I read and the interviews that people have done. Now, this is based on this. I'm one of the few that's around that's been doing it this long. And I'm going to probably do it for another 40 years, God willing. And that's good. That's good for them. You know why? Because they did what they could when they could. But they had to go back to work. Hey, great. Awesome. I hope they got promoted. I hope they got promoted, a big raise, and was able to get a new house and a new car and be able to better take care of their families in their way. I am so glad. But I'm also glad that they tried, because that is just a monumental thing. That is amazing. And I'm glad that they tried. And I'm glad that they decided to go back to work. I'm glad that they raised their kids in their way, you know, as long as it was a healthy, safe way, you know. But yeah, 25 years. That's basically like a factory career, I guess, you know. But yeah. So that's what today's blog, whatever you want to call it, was about. Stay-at-home parenting and busting that stereotype and getting everybody to think for a second. Just a brief second before you say, oh, you're a stay-at-home parent? Must be easy. Okay, well, I'll trade you. I'll take a 1 day off and go do your job, and you can do my job. And yeah, well, then we'll compare notes. All right, this is the mama saying, be good to each other, be good to yourself, and pay it forward. Until next Tuesday. Actually, tonight is a gaming stream, Minecraft, and see, today's Thursday. See, they all blend together. Tomorrow night will be Subnautica, but tonight is Minecraft. Not quite sure what we're going to do. We may just mess around in the garden, or who knows. So come and join me for that tonight on Twitch at 8 o'clock. And the replay will be posted here on YouTube right after the stream ends at 10. So have a great day. Like I said, may it be filled with peace, paying it forward, and just overall happiness. Goodbye.